Okay, I think this is probably going to be everybody we're going to have. So, hi. I know that my name earlier said Laura. I am not Laura, obviously. So hopefully my name looks correct for you guys. Thank you for coming to this meeting this morning. Hopefully we won't keep you too long. Obviously, there's only a handful of you here, and it's really only two of the big programs that we're talking about. So I don't believe that I have met everybody here. I don't know if you all have met each other. So if you want to introduce yourselves and say who you are, where you're at, X, Y, and Z. Somebody wants to go, or I will volunteer you.
Okay. Oh,
Go ahead. I'm Mike Newell. I'm the deputy soup here at the Caddo Kiowa Technology Center.
And I'm Shakira Stafford. I'm the program director and coordinator of clinical education for Seminole State College at the Gordon Cooper Technology Center.
I'm Ashley Jacobs. I'm actually a regional coordinator with Career Tech, and I'm just here to sit in and learn.
Okay. So for this meeting, I don't know if you had gotten any of Laura's emails about if your program is approved through or accredited through, like, I think it's APTA. Is that right? APTA? APTA?
CAPTE.
APTA? Okay. So then
But CAPTE is our accreditor. Yeah.
okay. So the kind of precipitating factor for this was financial aid. But since I know that you guys are accredited through that, and a lot of you do, all of you go through, like, you partner with a college of some form. I know obviously Seminole State, but like if your PTA programs partner through.
Yes, they all have to. All of the PTA programs with the career techs, they have to partner with a degree granting institution in order to be accredited with CAPTE. Yeah.
Okay, well then this will be relatively easy then. So for our other programs, what we're trying to do is kind of get to a little bit of a consensus on what we're doing and some hours and things, so I can put something in the framework that looks like what everybody's kind of doing. But since you guys partner with colleges and are accredited through that, you guys aren't really gonna have to change your hours, if that makes sense. Like, we're not gonna make you change a third-party accreditation because we come up with a different set of hours. So really what I have is I have the courses for the Caddo Kiowa and the Indian Capital programs. I don't have access to the courses for the Gordon Cooper because it's not in our system. Like, it doesn't get approved through us per se. And so I really just what I'm looking for, since I'm the one who's going in and compiling everything, is everybody to give me as much information as possible so I can put something in the framework that looks like what we're all doing. These two programs, the Caddo Kiowa program is at 1,042 hours, and the Indian Capital program is 1,332 hours. So there's obviously a difference there. I can show you. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Let me share my screen here. So this is what I am looking at. Obviously, you know, these are two, they call different things. We see the Indian Capital one has some custom courses. So that's where they've named the courses, not one that we already had in our system. So I think that's where some of this looks a little different. Obviously, the clinical practicums and the therapeutic exercise and that kind of thing, they're effectively the same thing. I think at the core, they're teaching a lot of the same things, especially because you have to be accredited and that kind of stuff. You're obviously not teaching anything too far off, but we see there is a difference in hours. So really just looking for input, and then I usually ask for like syllabi or any programs of study, like degree sheets or whatever that you guys have. Because what I'm also doing, even though everyone's going through different colleges, I am compiling all those together in one big document so that we can see what everyone's doing. Not as like I want to monitor what you're doing, but just so we kind of have some information, so we kind of know what everyone's doing, so that if people ask, if there's questions, if we talk about the careers and like what it takes to be these things and to go through these programs and that kind of thing. I'm also the newest program specialist, and my big thing is like kind of data gathering. Like, as much information as you can flood as you can give me, I love, because I want to, have all the information. So, seeing these two, if you guys can still, I don't know if you can still see, the document, but do we have any input on these two things? Does this look pretty accurate? Can you tell me, there's a massive difference in hours, like why we think that is?
Well, what CAPD tells us to do
Mhm.
is that, and I can say that mine most closely aligns with Indian Capital because Sarah Foster was the program director there, and I started, I'm going to say maybe a year and a half, 2 years before Sarah Foster. So I was already writing our program here, and so we got together and collaborated for several things. So I'm not exactly the same as her, but I will say, yeah, the very, very similar to the Indian Capital, what we have here at Gordon Cooper. I just did a comment. Our hours are also, they're kind of in between the two at 1,136 when we look at our total hours. The reason that there's the variance is our accreditor gives us what they call a roadmap. So they give us a list of standards and elements that we have to include within our curriculum, but they don't tell us what to name the classes. They don't give any direction in that way. They said that our program has to be unique and it has to serve our area. And then we write it and then they come and check it and see if they're okay with it. And so that's why the big variance. I will say when I was writing my program, I was not made aware that the framework was there. And so I just created things kind of, if you will, out of air. I mean, obviously educated creating things, but I was not aware of or made aware of the career tech framework.
Mhm.
And so that's why there's the variance. From my experience, that's why there's the big variance. Sarah Foster and I don't know if Sarah was aware of the framework, but I know we worked together. So ours looks very, very similar.
Do we have any other input on these courses or the differences?
Yeah, Emily, I'm not, I'm brand new here in this position, so I haven't been around long enough to know what has been there in the past. I know we're associated with Southwestern is who our college we're taught in with. I don't know if it's, sitting on the nursing meeting yesterday, and a lot of the prerequisites are not included in the framework. Or they were supposed to be, but they're not. So I don't know if that's the case. I know ours has been the same for a long, long time. I mean, we've been around for many years. So wish I could tell you more. I just don't know a lot about it.
And I can answer a bit to that, Mike, about the framework. None of the prerequisites for any of the programs are going to be included in this because we're all what our accreditor calls, we call it a 1+1 framework, where students have to do all the prerequisite work and then they get admitted into the program, and all of the technical classes are truly just technical PTA courses. And so there is some variance even in the prerequisites between the programs. I think, Mike, your program has a math credit, whereas my program does not have a math credit. Just different nuances like that. For the most part, we have to meet, again, the Oklahoma State Board of Regents, what their requirements are to deliver an associate degree. So you're going to see those, Comp 1, Comp 2, history, government, those types of things. And we all have an anatomy, human physiology, medical terminology as prerequisite. But it's because it's a 1+1 that you won't see any prerequisites on these frameworks. This is just technical classes.
So it sounds to me kind of like what's going to happen is similar to what happened in one of our other meetings, in that, like, if you guys could send me your degree sheets or your syllabi or your plan of study, just so I can see them. It sounds like if we put in the framework something that kind of meets these two, just so there's an option in there. You guys aren't gonna have to change your hours because you guys are accredited by a third party and you're approved for a specific number of hours. If I understand that correctly, if you're approved, like your program is approved for that many hours with that accrediting body, or is it just that you're meeting the standards?
No, we're approved by the accrediting body for the amount of time as well. I should say not seat time per se. These these minutes were worked up by the programs for Career Tech. We're more, we're credit hours, but we are approved for our specific amount of credit hours.
Mhm.
Yeah, when CAPD looked at this, they weren't interested so much. This is, like I said, this is for Career Tech, not for our third-party accreditor.
Yeah, I mean, that honestly makes it really easy, because it means that like whatever you guys, your hours are is what your hours are, to some extent, but for the framework, I think we'll try to put something that kind of meets in the middle a little bit, that's like all the commonalities between the two, and put that in the framework, and then, whenever we have a better answer for what it looks like when you're a third party accredited, that's what we'll send out, whenever we get to that point. The bulk of my October is gonna be spent compiling all the information from all of our programs in every area, and like putting what everybody's doing all together and then getting some output from that. So since there's only 3 of you guys, like 3 programs in the state total, that makes my life a little bit easier. So if you guys don't really have any questions about how this part works, then I appreciate you guys coming. If you have any questions, you know, please let me know before we go, or you feel free to email me, send me any information. You guys kind of make my life easy this morning, to be very honest with you, because there's only a few of you, and you guys are third party accredited. And these courses are, and truly, when I look at the what the course names are, and then the courses, a lot of them are the same. They're just kind of called something different. And there's, I think, because of the colleges, there's a little bit of a difference in hours, but they're not wildly different. It's not like we have, you know, thousands of hours of differences. If that makes sense. So. Do we have any questions?
One thing, Emily, that I will add that I'd let Laura know is that CAPD, our accreditor, they just gave us new standards and elements that were in effect January of 2024. And so all of our programs before our next accreditation cycle will have to make our programs align with those new standards and elements. So you were just, and the reason I mentioned that is you were talking about, you know, when we are talking about time, that may change, because I can only speak to my program, but we were limited to 5 semesters. So 5 college semesters is what our accreditor said that we had to deliver the prerequisites and our technical classes. We no longer have those limits. And we're finding that this 1+1 format is difficult for our students, because we now have to deliver so much content, because they're adding things like financial literacy and different things that have to go into our curriculum. And so we're actually considering that we would have more seat hours, and we would kind of run this program over more than 5 semesters, utilizing mini semesters and that type of thing. So I just say that to kind of caution that there may be, you know, big changes that are going to occur in programs, because I know we're looking at fairly big changes to occur in ours. So just that cautionary, and we just got these in January, so I haven't even had the chance to start even working on it. This is just kind of informal conversations and mindset and the preliminary read. So
I mean, and that's stuff to keep in mind too. I mean, if we know that they're going to change, since that third party accreditation piece is there, it'll still kind of be whatever you get approved for. But knowing that, we can kind of look at, when we're building the framework, we can kind of see if they give certain limits, or they give certain like parameters that we can add. We can try to fit those around, like the framework that we make, we can try to make sure that they fit within that. So it's a little easier to get it closer to whatever you guys are doing. So there's less work on the input side of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I will give that note to Laura, and I will look and see what access we have to those standards and the ins and outs of that. And then I'll put that in the folder for physical therapy assistant as information to take into consideration. So do you guys have anything else for me at the moment? Nope. Okay. Well, it was a short and sweet meeting, and I really appreciate it, because we have 10,000 of these meetings and they can take super duper long time. So I really appreciate that. If you have any questions about this process between now and the end of time, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you have any information that you want to send my way, please let me know. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you.